So I watched my first Kamen Rider to completion not that long ago, and I just wanted to talk about it for a bit. This coming from someone who watched Power Rangers when I was a kid. The ones I watched was Mighty Morphin, SPD, Ninja Storm, Dino, Thunder, Wild Force, and the last one I believe was Mystic Force, and that was before I tapped out of it. Yeah, Mystic Force, they were wizards for some reason, and I don't remember that one gripping me that much. My favorite one out of the bunch is probably Wild Force. I can't really specify the reason why, but I want to say next up was Dino Thunder and Ninja Storm because they had really cool costumes. I know that doesn't have anything to do with Kamen Rider, but I just wanted to say that as I make my transition because I had started watching Super Sentai to see what the originals were. And I watched the one that Mighty Morphin was based off of, but I'll talk about that one in a different video. But for now, the one that I had watched was Kamen Rider Ryuki. From my impression from the first episode was I thought it was going to be a horror for kids based off the eeriness of it. But after talking to my friend who had, put me on to Kamen Rider, he said horror isn't the word you're looking for. The word you're looking for is paranormal, which it was. It involved a mirror universe and stuff, and people were getting snatched, killed, and kidnapped like immediately. And I was blown away at like the huge difference in tone from this, even to like Power Rangers. But it's cool, you know. And it was nice to see a consistent story rather than just a monster of the week, and something to follow. And how it was being portrayed, it was like really close to like an anime, just in like how the characters were acting, the expressions, and all of that jazz. Like, if it kind of felt like I was watching Naruto because the protagonist kind of sort of felt like him a little bit, just a tad, not all the way. And we're going to get into some spoilers. Like, the two protagonists have a no kill rule, and I salute them because they stick to this throughout the whole series. The main guy, he's kind of annoying or whatever, but he blatantly states he can't kill any Kamen Riders because it doesn't sit right with his gut. And the other protagonist is like a bad boy. He reminds me of Sasuke, and he's like, whatever. And he ends up fighting a lot, not because he enjoys it, but because it's something he knows and he does despite having a cool demeanor. He never kills any Kamen Riders in the show either. And the two protagonists do initially fight, but there's this guy, but the one who's Sasuke, he has a bat monster, and we find out he can't kill anybody because he starts beating on the other protagonist, Shinji, I believe is his name, and he just don't have it in his heart to deliver the killing blow. But outside of those two people, I want to talk about my favorite character, and it is Asakura. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He has a snake monster, and he is what the youth would call a crash out. He's evil, and all he wants to do is fight, and I think that makes him a really fun character. And I also think he's the strongest character in the show. Let's see, what else did I write? And if he isn't the strongest character in the show, I think he does become that later on. I started reading deep into his wiki article and stuff, and he beats the current strongest character in the show, which is the one who's forcing everybody to fight. He's forcing the Kamen Riders to fight together or whatever. That's who the current strongest is. But as I read in the wiki about him making reappearances and stuff, Asakura might be the strongest in his verse, respectively. But anyways, back to the script. Okay. Yeah, the strongest guy, he has an avatar he calls Odin, and his powers is like time control and stuff. But currently he's dead. That's a major plot point. Okay, here we go. We ain't talking about him too much because he's kind of boring. I ain't gonna hold. Asakura is not. In the Ryuki series, he has like 4 confirmed kills in the series, and is a bad guy through and through. Like there's no redemption arc, which is really cool, to see a real villain and not just an anti-hero. But there's another guy who does have a redemption at the last moment. After his initial debut, I thought he was going to be a really bad guy and just be giving everybody a run for their money. But no, after I finished the series, I can conclude that he is only at his best when he's trying to sneak attack people. This is the white tiger guy I'm talking about. Yeah, he's only at his best when he's trying to sneak people. Outside of that, he's not that good a fighter when it comes to the fair ones when he's running the one-on-one. He killed his only ally. Well, he killed two of his only allies. I think. Well, yeah. Nah, just one. Yeah, he killed one of his only allies. Nah, it was two. It was two. I'm brain farting all over the place. No edits, just straight yap session. Okay. And what did I write? Yeah, as the show goes on, you see how he operates. He gets close to people, he backstabs them, and that's how he gets his two kills. Really cowardly if you think about it. But I mentioned him next because he has a change of heart in his last moment. He sees a random kid and he just dies by getting hit by a bus. The next relevant character is a lawyer. The lawyer also stood by his principles to the very end, which is he just fights for himself and himself only. Which I respected, nobody else really changed in the show except for like White Tiger, as far as having to change a heart. The lawyer guy just fights for himself, and that's the only reason he's a Kamen Rider in the game is because he wants the sickness and he wants to live beyond the sickness. But unfortunately for him, he ended up quitting the Kamen Rider fight because he simply just had enough. He's not as strong as he thought or whatever because he has a disease. And there was this girl he was chasing throughout the series, trying to get her to come to dinner with him. And these two journalist ladies who was trying to, be all in the lawyer business, they were like, oh, go out to eat with him. Go out to eat with him. It'd probably be fun and stuff. And then, they convinced her and she said, okay, I'll finally take you upon your date and stuff. But he ain't even get to do it. He was going out. He had a change of heart about the Rider fight. He said he felt, I feel like I really should have fought Asakura. He said it feels like the one thing I just haven't gotten done yet. And so he gets up and he starts, walking. And he talks to his assistant. He's like, I can't even see your face right now. And his assistant sheds a tear because he knows he's about to start dying. He also said it's a cloudy day. But as you can clearly see on the show, it's not a cloudy day at all. It's very sunny. But the next scene, we see, the lawyer guy, Kamen Rider mode, fighting Asakura, only for him to get defeated. And after he gets defeated, we find out it was his assistant doing the fighting for him because it was the last thing, the lawyer wasn't able to do. And, after that, he sees he didn't actually get to, beat who he wanted to beat in the Rider fight. Asakura is upset. He's pissed. And he's back in the real world. And, he looks around. He sees guns are drawn all on him, but he's frustrated. So he picks up a steel pipe, runs towards them, just gets gunned down immediately. Also, the protagonist had died before the final episode. He died trying to save people, but he did stick to his principles that he didn't want to kill any Kamen Rider because he just couldn't bring himself to do that, and he stuck to that. The ending is what you would expect after you watch the series. I'm not going to spoil the exact ending and stuff, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and hopefully somebody found it entertaining just watching me rant about the show.